And welcome back to Lantern Corp. Today's Lantern Corp comes to us from Lord Jiraiya. Lord Jiraiya, the gallant stud of the Hidden Leaf Village. Actually, I'm doing a guy voice there. The mighty Jiraiya! There you go. Women swoon at my nature. My manliness cannot be contained. So, yeah, Lord Jiraiya asks, what Lantern Corp does Lord Beerus and Dragon Ball Super belong into? And I was literally just finishing up the what I had to do for the video. And I'm like, thinking about it, because I initially thought he was going to have a lot more Lantern Corps he could qualify for, but there's about 3 key ones he can really qualify for, in my opinion. And I'll go over a little bit briefly the ones I don't think he'll qualify for and why I don't think that. But let's get to it. So, black, I think, has to be in the consideration. It's got to be in the... There we go. Just wanted to center that shot. It has to be in the running because he's the god of destruction. The amount of death he has caused in his entire existence, which, as far as we know, is millions upon... He's older than Boo, apparently. That's how old Beerus is. Allegedly. So, yeah... the amount of death and destruction he's probably caused in his lifetime cannot be measured. So his job is to destroy. His job essentially is to cause death and destruction. So new life can be brought. Now, unfortunately, he does. I think Beerus. I love Beerus as a character. Don't get me wrong. He's one of my favorite Dragon Ball. Not Dragon Ball the series, Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super GT, but like the encompassing whole overall series. I love Beerus and Whis. They're some of my favorite characters. But let's be honest, Beerus kind of abuses his position as a destroyer just a little bit, which is why he was ranked so. His universe was probably ranked so, or one of the reasons his universe was ranked so low in the Tournament of Power. And he was second from the bottom, followed only by the 9th. But yeah, with the amount of death he's caused, I'd have to count him as a Black Lantern, or at least in the running. Now let's go over a couple of the ones he can't qualify for, in my opinion. Life. Yes, Beerus does try to live his life to the fullest, but the fact that he's a destroyer kind of already means he can't be a White Lantern of life. His nature is the direct opposite of that. His job is the direct opposite of that. So he could not be a White Lantern, despite the fact he does enjoy, like the fire. He's a culinary. He enjoys a good nap. So and he even enjoys a good fight. So I wouldn't qualify him for a white. Likewise, I also wouldn't qualify him for blue because, let's be honest, Beerus does not inspire hope in anyone. He inspires dread more than he inspires hope. So, yeah, I would not qualify him as a Blue Lantern whatsoever. Nor does he really have... I mean, he can he's put his faith in Goku on multiple occasions, particularly in the Tournament of Power. But those small moments a Blue Lantern does not make. You need to always carry that with you. The Blue Lanterns are as close to religious as possible, in many ways, because it's about faith, it's about hope. Not only the hope you inspire, but the hope that you carry with you. So there's that. One other before we go into the next one I think he's qualified for. Avarice, Orange. Now this one I could see an argument. I could see a bare bones argument for it. He's a glutton in many ways. He's very much self-absorbed. He's kind of just wants to do the things he wants to do. But does that count towards avarice, or does this just count towards your own self-interest? There's a difference between being greedy and just having your own self-interest in mind. And let's be honest, Beerus, if he was truly greedy, would just continue to eat and be like, he would just do what he wanted to do. But he does honor his duties when he's not being lazy, he does honor his duties. He does set aside those things for, to do his job when he does get around to doing his job. It's not often, unfortunately, but he does get around to doing it. Likewise, he can just set his other stuff aside and, focus on the task at hand when he really needs to. The Tournament of Power, a good example. The Universe 6 tournament, another good example. So, while he's definitely got greedy tendencies, especially when it comes to food, he's not... Avarice doesn't fit Beerus, in my opinion. The next core that fits is... And by the way, these are kind of in order, though. Number 1 and the Black Lantern core are kind of more neck and neck. I haven't really decided which one I think he actually qualifies for over the other. But Green Lantern, and I think Green Lantern's an obvious one because he has immense willpower, being a deity for so many years. I mean, yes, overcoming great fear is important as well. And to be fair, he has to overcome his fear of the Omnikin, which he never does. But you know, he still can feel great fear. Beerus can be afraid. It's the same as any of the gods of destruction, quite frankly. Beerus can be scared at that point. And he's got immense willpower. So I think Green is a no-brainer for that. Moving back to some of the ones I don't think he can qualify for. Compassion. Beerus is not completely compassionless, but he's kind of amoral in many ways. It's because of his duty as a deity that I think that's where it comes from. Plus his own personal attitude and personality coming through. But his status as a deity, god of destruction, I think has skewed his viewpoints of things in his history. I'm assuming. So I wouldn't call him completely without compassion because he spares Earth. He's willing to do the very small odd favor every now and then. Like when he watched Bra, when they went to fight Broly, he's like, "What? How dare you?" And he's like, "No, he's bonded with the kid a little bit. The kid's enjoying himself. He's enjoying himself." He's like, "Oh, it's fine." Beerus clearly isn't without compassion. It's just that he's been alive for so long. He's a god of destruction, meaning he's got that status bump and that ego trip from that. So, while not impossible, I think compassion is just not his forte at all. Likewise, love is not his forte either. Weirdly enough. Now, you might say, but he loves... I can't remember who it is, and I wouldn't even name him if I did, because that's not fair. But somebody always tells that, keep reminding you that lust counts, and all this, like, yes, and they keep arguing that Jiraiya should be a Star Sapphire. I'm like, no, Jiraiya should not be a Star Sapphire. Because when you and I'm going off Jiraiya real quick, but speaking of Jiraiya, you gave me the suggestion, but, Jiraiya, here's the thing. Jiraiya, yes, is a pervert. He's fueled by lusting woman. Yes, absolutely. He's fueled is maybe not the right term per se, but he's driven to some extent. But when you really break it down, his duty to do what was right for his friends, his family, what family he may or may not have had, his friends, his village, his pupil, and the woman he loves, Tsunade, because he loves Tsunade, overrode that lust. Because when it came down to things, he could set his lust aside. That was the big... See, that's where I make that argument against the Star Sapphires of Love. Because he could set the lust aside and do what he needed to do. And that is willpower over lust. That's why I chose willpower. That's why I think Jiraiya was more of a Green Lantern than a Star Sapphire. Anyway, though, moving on to Beerus, why he can't be a Star Sapphire. He has a love for food, but that's it. And, I mean, it's not like it fuels him every single day. Yes, he loves to eat and all that, but that's not what drives him. And, I mean, to a certain extent, you can make an argument. He's like, he gets out of bed just so he can eat. It's like, yeah, sure, but let's be honest, there are other corps that just work better. Hell, even like the Avarice one, I'd argue, might even work better than... the Avarice probably wouldn't work better. But, honestly, I'd say even like something like the White Lantern, just for being alive, would probably work better than the love thing. But yeah, moving on to the last Lantern Corps he cannot qualify for before we get to the final one, Rage. I don't think he could be a Red Lantern. Now, Beerus gets angry. Beerus can get furious. But there's a difference between getting angry and constantly being angry, constantly being fueled by your eternal rage. There's a difference between the two. And Beerus is just not fueled by an eternal... In fact, most of the time he's pretty, like, apathetic and just, like, in a pretty even-tempered mood. He can lose his temper. We've seen what happens when he does that. But anyone can lose their temper. Just because someone loses their temper doesn't mean they're fueled by rage. So I couldn't qualify him for a Red Lantern. So obviously that leaves us the last ring. And I don't go with the Ultraviolet. It's just not stated what fuels them very clearly, so I don't use the Ultraviolets. It's believed to be shame, but I don't qualify that. The Yellow Lantern's a fear. And if I'm going to be honest, it's between Yellow Lantern and Black Lantern. Because with all the destruction he's caused, he would be a perfect avatar of death. But let's be honest, everyone, save for deities on his playing field or higher, was scared of Beerus. Vegeta, for God's sake. Vegeta, one of the most badass mother effers in that entire series, who wasn't even afraid of Boo. And when he was getting his ass kicked. I am your Lord Prince, Saiyan Prince Vegeta! It's like, and he even scared the crap out of Boo. Like, holy crap, Vegeta's awesome. The minute he hears Beerus and remembers who Beerus is, he's like, he literally dropped a brick in his pants there. And the only reason he was able to overcome his fear of Beerus for a while is because he pimp smacked Bulma and he just lost it on Beerus. Beerus, the only one who Beerus doesn't scare, but that's not stronger than him. Like, he doesn't scare any of the angels, doesn't scare the Omni King, obviously. He doesn't really scare any of the other gods of destruction. I mean, we know not all the gods of destruction are created equally. There are stronger gods than others, but I don't think fear is really. I don't think any one of them is really afraid of the other. The only person that we've ever seen who is not legitimately afraid of Beerus is Goku and Bra. Bra's a baby. You can't put that against her. But yeah, it's Goku. Goku's the only one who's never been legitimately scared of Beerus. And that always intrigues Beerus. Like, you're not afraid of me, Saiyan. You are a strange one indeed. But yeah, it's Vegeta's afraid of him. Frieza's afraid of him. Frickin' Frieza's afraid of him. So if Frieza and Vegeta, two of the most hardcore mother effers in the entire series, are afraid of this guy, fear has to either be your definite or your second choice here. So the question now becomes, is he a Black Lantern or is he a Yellow Lantern? And here's the thing. And if Beerus were a more proactive god of destruction, I would have said the Black Lantern Corps, because he would have been doing his job more regularly. But he doesn't. He takes a long siesta between his job. So, honestly, I gotta say it's fear. Beerus would be, I think, a fear lantern, simply because for the fact that he's not active with his job. Therefore, the amount of death he's causing is limited. And he actually had Frieza destroy Planet Vegeta for him. And even when he wakes up and, it's been God knows how long since someone's been around, or someone's heard of it or seen him, his reputation precedes him. So I gotta go fear on that. But ultimately, what do you think? Do you think Beerus is a Yellow Lantern, Black Lantern, Green Lantern, which I think is the second runner-up, or second runner-up, the third runner-up, the bronze medal, if you will, the Bronze Lantern. Apparently, there are Gold Lanterns, which are weird. From what I understand, they're not much different than Green Lanterns. They're just, aesthetic. But yeah, do you think he's yellow, black, green, or could you make an honest argument for any of the other 6? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. And ideas for who would win, Star Wars, Super Magic, anything I do on the channel, put that in the comments below as well. I think I just said that. I always do that sometimes. I'll sometimes repeat the same thing over again. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll probably just do my pre-record my what if on tomorrow for Wednesday. So thanks for watching. See you later, folks.